Okay, we rolling?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, well, welcome back to another episode of Cyber Cookie Monster. This time we're outside the house. No electronics, but a little bit of math, so it's fun. All right, I have a problem. I have rainwater coming down here, pulling here, and the previous tenant, whoever did it, decided to tie this downspout here with another downspout over here. He tied them both together with 3-inch corrugated solid tubing, dumped right out here and onto the parking pad. Not too brilliant, and every time it would wash, it would just wash out, and this would be horrible. So this right here, before was dumping out only about 10 feet away, but it wasn't really 10 feet away because it would move, it would fall off, and it would dump. And this pad was there fortunately, but it would still just pull that direction. What we're going to do is we're going to tie this 3-inch corrugated, we're going to run it, dig it, trench it, tie it in here, into this end. All right, well, it does both 3-inch and 4-inch. 3-inch was fine for one part of the roof, which was over this way. This one. Did the math, and if you tie this roof line with that half a roof line and this, it's only like 600 something square feet. We've been getting just torrential raining buckets downpour lately, so I don't want to stick with 3-inch. 3-inch for one of the 3 roofs is fine. When it joins in over here, we'll do 4-inch from that point on using an adapter. Now you want to have some drop. You want to have some drop to the tubing. If you were talking about like sewer lines, you know, with waste, you would want a 1/4 inch per foot. We don't have that kind of waste going through here. It's rainwater, especially with gutter guards on top to keep the major debris out. So for that, we can get away with 1/8 of an inch per foot. If you look at where the tubing sits, it's right about, conveniently, the top of the tubing is right here. That's very convenient. Something else that's also very convenient is that when you measure from here all the way to the end to calculate the drop, it's about 18 feet or so. And when you do the divide by 8, you end up with 2.5, essentially. 2.5 inch bricks are about 2.5 inch. So we start getting really lucky. By the time we get over there, we drop 1 brick. We can measure it anyways. The siding down to this is about 7.5. So an extra 2.5 inches, you're talking 10. We come over here, and just the way the ground slopes, if we get lucky, it's already at about 10 inches. Bam, right there. So we drop 1 brick, super convenient. That'll be the height of the tubing. I don't have to dig very far. Now to get the drop from here to there, it's about 24 feet. Give or take a couple inches. So that'll be a 6-inch drop. By the time we get over here, so now we're talking 16 inches, and I got lucky again. That's right about already the depth of the trench I dug to go underneath the pad right here. And it'll just keep going and dropping and dropping and dropping, and that other bush will come out, that ugly thing, and down the hill it goes. So this 4-inch corrugated goes in one solid piece. Try not to use any more connectors than you possibly, than you absolutely have to. Every connector is another area for a leak. So it drops 2.5 inches, wraps over, comes this way, and goes from about 10.5 inches at that peak, at that corner right there. By the time it gets to over here, is about 17 inches down. Connects right here. A new piece begins, obviously, a T-fitting. Goes over, steady drop, nice steady drop, all the way through underneath the sidewalk, and it'll go all the way down the hill. Let me get the pan shot there. Thank you. Now the challenge here was getting this underneath the concrete and keeping it keeping it as one solid piece. The concrete was done properly. It's all one piece. It's got rebar slabs, or rebar in the slabs, and it's about 4 inches thick and has proper base material. So I didn't really want to break up the concrete, even though we're going to put something on top of it. I wanted to keep it as structurally sound as possible. The way to do that, you don't have any crazy digging machines. You don't have it, well, I guess you could use a post hole digger sideways. I don't even want to think about how difficult that would be. A challenge here is if you look this way, you have the metal, the metal electrical boxes in the way, so you can't use you don't have a lot of room to work here. You can't use too long of a piece to burrow underneath. So what we did is take this right here, regular PVC. You first spray with a hose, get a little bit soft. Take this, slide it down in there, pound it in probably about that far, just so it seals tightly with rubber mallet, a regular sledgehammer. It doesn't matter, you're not going to be reusing this for anything. Pound it in a couple inches, spray it with a hose, and that washes away the dirt. Pound it in a couple more, don't go too far, because what you'll have is the starting friction on the outside will be too much for you to overcome to pull it back out again. So you pull it out, you spray, you lube it up again, you dump the material out. It's kind of like basically you're doing a horizontal core sample. So you keep doing more and more horizontal core samples. This, unfortunately, is as long as they had at Home Depot without buying a 10-foot section and cutting off what I needed. It's either 10 foot or 2 foot. And the 10 foot was all sold out anyway, so I was stuck with 2 foot. You go in so far, then you eyeball it as best as you can and come in from the other direction. I got really lucky and I met it perfectly. From that point, all it took was reaching in a little bit with my hand, smoothing out the inside, and the corrugated went right through. So now what we have is, starting at the T-fitting behind me and to my left, it goes all the way down, one solid piece, all the way around, all the way, and it'll go all the way, one piece all the way down the hill. We're going to maintain a good 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch drop per foot, all the way down. We've already started the digging. It's dug out, and here is where we begin using a square garden spade as a sod cutter. Slice, 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 lift, move, dig. To get a nice straight line, you can do it a couple ways. You can grab some garden hose, which I don't have, to be able to get all the way down there, and lay it out first. Some string, chalk it, spray paint, whatever. I just used the trench digger. This is also a really nifty kind of shovel. It's really useful if you're digging trenches, aptly named. So I just laid it down like this, eyeballed it to the wall, sod cut, bam, 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 slide, move, bam, 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 bam. Then after you have one line, you can go back, you get the other one like this, just lift it out, dig, and toss it into something so you don't have big piles of dirt in your grass. And when you're done, you backfill it back in and take the sod, put it back down top, and water it so they reroot. At this point, now it's just time for a lot of heavy lifting. I wanted to show it to you before I covered all with dirt, and show it to myself when I look at this like maybe 10 years from now and I don't remember what I did. Now I can remember what I did. That's about it. So thanks for tuning in on this episode, and hopefully you learned something neat.